Okay, real talk, Jaggery might be doing worse things to your blood sugar than a spoon of plain white sugar. I know how that sounds. But stay with me because I put 6 sweeteners that are sitting in basically every kitchen through the exact same test. Same amount, same conditions, and the results are not what the wellness pages have been telling you. By the end of this video, you're going to know exactly how many calories are hiding in your sugar, your honey, your Jaggery, and your zero-calorie packets, and which ones actually deserve their reputation. Here's the thing, nobody actually reads the nutrition label on their sugar jar. You just trust the vibe. Trust the packaging. Trust whatever your family's been doing for 3 generations. Today we're checking the vibes against the actual numbers, and not everybody's going to survive this. The rules of the game. A fair fight only works if everyone shows up in the same amount. So across this entire video, we're measuring every single sweetener the same way. 60 grams, which is roughly 5 tablespoons. But honey's the outlier. Honey is thick. 5 real tablespoons of honey weighs almost double, closer to 100 grams. So when we get to honey, keep this in mind, 60 grams of honey is really only about 3 tablespoons, not 5. We're locking the weight at 60 grams across the board, every time, because that's the only version of this comparison that's actually fair. Scoops lie. Scales don't. You're going to hear me say GI a lot, that's Glycemic Index. All it means, on a scale from 0 to 100, how fast and how hard does this thing spike your blood sugar? Higher number, harder spike, faster crash after. And here's the part people mix up constantly. Calories and blood sugar rise are not the same measurement. Calories are about energy, how much fuel you're taking in. Blood sugar rise is about speed, how fast that fuel hits your bloodstream. A sweetener can be lower calorie and still spike you hard. Or higher calorie and barely spike you at all. They don't move together, so we're tracking both, separately, for every sweetener on this list. Alright. 6 sweeteners walk into a kitchen. Let's find out who's actually winning. White sugar. We start with the OG. The one that's in literally every kitchen on Earth. White sugar. How it's made, in 10 seconds, sugarcane, or sometimes sugar beet, gets crushed for its juice. That juice gets boiled down into a syrup, then spun in a machine that separates the raw crystals from a dark, sticky syrup called molasses. Those crystals get washed and refined again and again until they're small, dry, and bright white. Basically, everything except pure sweetness gets stripped away, start to finish, field to packet, usually just a matter of days. Your 60 grams, your 5 tablespoons, of white sugar comes out to about 232 calories. That's more than 2 medium bananas, just so that's rattling around your head for the rest of this video. And on the blood sugar side, white sugar sits at a GI of around 65. Medium to high. Your body barely has to do any work to break it down. It's in your bloodstream fast. And here's why it hits so fast. There's nothing left in white sugar to slow your body down. No fiber, no protein, no fat, nothing that needs digesting first. It's about the most direct route from your mouth to your bloodstream that food can take. 232 calories, a quick spike, and 0 nutrients along for the ride. That's white sugar's entire personality in one sentence. Hold on to that number, 232, because it's about to matter a lot. Jaggery. This is the one. This is the round I opened the entire video with. Let's go. Jaggery, also called gur, starts almost exactly like white sugar. Sugarcane juice, sometimes palm sap, gets boiled down. But here's where it splits off. Jaggery never goes into that spinning machine. Nothing gets separated out. The whole juice just keeps thickening and thickening until it turns solid, a block, or granules. Everything that was in the original juice, molasses and minerals included, just stays put. And that's exactly why Jaggery gets called natural and unprocessed and the healthy one on every wellness page and in every family kitchen. Chai with Jaggery instead of sugar. Jaggery in your ladoo because they say, at least it's not refined. So let's check the numbers. 60 grams of Jaggery, about 230 calories. Same as white sugar. Not close to it, the same. If your whole reasoning for choosing Jaggery over white sugar is fewer calories, I need you to know you're saving 0. But here's the part: the blood sugar spike, the GI, is not lower than white sugars. Multiple independent nutrition studies put sugarcane Jaggery's GI around 84. White sugar, remember, was 65. Jaggery can spike your blood sugar harder than the exact sweetener it's supposedly the healthy alternative to. Same calories. Bigger spike. That's the plot twist from the top of the video. Read that back for a second. The sweetener with the health food reputation can spike you harder than the one everyone already agrees to feel a little guilty about. That's not a small correction. That's the entire premise flipping upside down. One nuance, because I want this accurate, not just dramatic. This shifts by type. Palm Jaggery and date Jaggery tend to test lower than cane Jaggery does. But classic cane Jaggery, the block sitting in most kitchens, is the one testing high. And yes, the mineral content is real. Jaggery does carry a bit more iron and magnesium than white sugar does. The amount is just small enough that you'd have to eat a genuinely unsafe quantity to get a meaningful dose. Jaggery earned its natural label fair and square. It did not earn its healthier one. Real quick, if your mind is already a little blown, this is a good spot to hit subscribe, because we've still got 4 more of these, and honestly the next one has some actual good news in it. Monk fruit. Round 3, and this is where the whole video takes a hard turn, in the best way. Monk fruit. Monk fruit, also called luohan gua, is a small melon that's been grown in the misty mountains of southern China for centuries. These days a bit of northern Thailand too. The extract comes straight from the fruit itself, and it doesn't have much in common with how we got the last 2 sweeteners on this list. Here's a fact that recontextualizes this entire video. Pure monk fruit extract is somewhere between 200 and 300 times sweeter than sugar. Not 2 times. Not 10 times. Up to 300. Which means literally nobody is using 5 tablespoons of the pure stuff. A quarter teaspoon could outsweeten an entire cake. So brands take that ultra-concentrated extract and cut it with a bulking ingredient, usually one called erythritol, sometimes one called allulose, specifically so it scoops and pours just like sugar. That's what's actually sitting in the bag or the packet in your pantry. So, what does 60 grams of an actual monk fruit blend cost you? Basically nothing. 60 gram gives you 0 to 15 calorie max, that's it. That bulking ingredient barely has any calories, and your body doesn't really process it for energy. The sweet extract itself mostly passes through unabsorbed too. Blood sugar impact? Also basically nothing. It sits right around a GI of 0. No real spike at all. Brown sugar. Round 4, brown sugar. The one that gets marketed like white sugar's healthier older sibling who does hot yoga and drinks celery juice. Here's the plot twist. Brown sugar isn't really its own ingredient. It's white sugar, with some of that molasses, the stuff that got spun out during processing, sprayed back in. That's the whole recipe. Light brown means a little molasses got added back. Dark brown means more. So, 60 grams of brown sugar. How many calories? 228. White sugar was 232. That's a 4-calorie difference. 4. You'd need a lab scale to even register that in real life. And the blood sugar spike? Same range too, because brown sugar is still around 95% identical to white sugar in makeup. It's basically white sugar wearing a molasses jacket. So what actually is different, if it's not calories? 2 things. Flavor. Brown sugar's got that deeper, caramel-y taste from the molasses. And a trace of minerals, a little calcium, a little iron. But we're talking amounts so small they don't move the needle on your health even slightly. You'd have to eat a genuinely unrealistic amount of brown sugar before those minerals meant anything. There's actually one place brown sugar does matter more than white: baking. That molasses holds onto moisture, so brown sugar bakes up chewier and denser, while white sugar bakes lighter and crispier. Ask anyone who's swapped one for the other in a cookie recipe by accident and ended up with a completely different cookie. Texture, not health, is the real reason to reach for one over the other. So if someone tells you brown sugar's the healthy sugar, respectfully, it's not. It's sugar in a costume. Honey. Breathe. This one's got some good news in it. Raw honey has 0 human processing behind it. Bees drink nectar from flowers, break it down a little on the flight home, spit it into the honeycomb, then fan it with their wings until the water evaporates out and it thickens into honey. Bees are doing full manufacturing labor here. Remember our asterisk from earlier. Because honey's thick, 60 grams lands closer to 3 tablespoons, not 5. Keeping the weight fair at 60 grams. 182 calories. That's meaningfully lower than sugar, brown sugar, and Jaggery. The blood sugar side backs that up too. Honey usually lands somewhere in the 50 to 60 GI range. Medium. Noticeably gentler than Jaggery's 84, and a little gentler than white sugar's 65 as well. And that GI range actually moves depending on what flowers the bees were visiting. Acacia honey tests way lower, down around 30. Some darker honeys test up closer to 80. So, honey was never really one fixed number. It's a whole spectrum depending on where it came from. Unsatisfying answer for a video that's supposed to give you clean numbers, but it's the truthful one. I'm not going to sit here and call honey a health food. It's still mostly sugar, and your body still treats it like sugar. But out of the 4 real sugar options on this list, it's genuinely the lightest hitter, lower calories per scoop and a gentler blood sugar curve. 2 quick facts before we move on. 1. A lot of store-bought honey is more processed and filtered than people assume, and cheaper brands have been caught quietly stretching it with sugar syrup, so it's not always the pure stuff the label implies. If you can, raw and local is the safer bet. Stevia. Stevia comes from the leaves of a plant native to South America, and just like monk fruit, what's actually in the packet isn't the pure extract, not even close. Brands cut it with the exact same kind of bulking ingredient, erythritol, sometimes allulose, to bring it back down to something you can actually scoop into your coffee. So, 60 grams of an actual stevia blend? Basically nothing, same as monk fruit. That bulking ingredient barely registers, and your body doesn't really process the sweet extract itself for energy either. Blood sugar impact? Also basically nothing. GI sits right around 0. No real spike at all. But, and this is the gotcha I promised you back in the monk fruit round, not every product on the shelf uses that same bulking ingredient. Some cheaper stevia blends use dextrose instead, which is basically its own form of sugar. In the tiny amount you'd use in one coffee, it's genuinely irrelevant. But it's not the exact same product as the erythritol-based version. So here's your new habit. Flip the bag over. Erythritol or allulose high on the ingredient list. You're getting the real 0-calorie deal. Dextrose or maltodextrin up there instead. It's not quite as innocent as the front of the package makes it sound. One more honest thing before we move on. A lot of people do notice a slight aftertaste with these, sometimes described as a cooling sensation, especially in bigger amounts. It's not dangerous, it's just a real difference from how sugar tastes and behaves, and it's worth knowing before you dump a full cup into a recipe expecting it to act exactly like sugar. You asked for a ranking, factoring in calories, blood sugar rise, and overall health impact. Here it is. Number 1, monk fruit and stevia, as long as you check that label. Basically 0 calories, basically 0 blood sugar spike. If your priority is managing weight or blood sugar, this is the real winner, not the marketing winner, the actual one. If you're managing diabetes or prediabetes, or you just want sweetness without the empty calories, this is your pick. Number 2. Honey. Not calorie-free, not spike-free, still needs real moderation. But the lowest calorie count and the gentlest blood sugar curve out of every real sugar on this list. If you want something that still feels like a treat, still feels natural, but hits your body less hard than table sugar, this is your move, as long as you're not feeding it to a baby. Number 3. White sugar and brown sugar. Practically identical on every number that actually matters. Pick whichever one you like the taste of, because health-wise, you're not making a meaningfully different choice either way. And honestly, if you're baking and need sugar to actually behave like sugar, structure, browning, texture, these two are still doing a job the healthier options on this list can't fully replace. And in last place, Jaggery. I know. It's the one with the health food reputation. But that doesn't mean never eat Jaggery again, obviously. It means stop treating it as the automatic safe swap, especially if you're watching your blood sugar. A little in your chai, sure, for the flavor and the tradition. Making it your go-to, healthy sugar replacement, telling yourself it's doing you a favor, probably not doing what you think it's doing. Treat the portion the exact same way you'd treat a spoon of white sugar, because nutritionally, that's exactly what it is. Sugar, brown sugar, and Jaggery are basically calorie triplets. Honey undercuts all three. And monk fruit and stevia aren't even playing the same sport. So that's every sweetener on your shelf, weighed, measured, and ranked. No myths, just the actual numbers. If you only take one thing away from this video, let it be this: Natural is a marketing word, not a nutrition word. Always check the actual number before you check the label's vibe. Tell me in the comments which one shocked you the most, and if this just saved you from a healthy swap that wasn't actually healthy, hit subscribe, because I'm breaking down a food types every single week. See you in the next one.